how you doing today? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I'm doing really well. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, me too. You know, I've been telling the people about this all day, and everybody's been excited, and everybody that I've talked to has said, hey, I love Neva. A lot of people remember you from CEO Space. A lot of people remember you from seeing your show. Neva has a best-selling book. She has a podcast. She is has Kids Clarity. She's been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes, Inc. magazines. She had a clothing line, Hot Clothes for Kids. And then your best-selling book was When Pigs Fly. And I remember that book. I think I bought it at CEO Space. So I remember that. And I remember Neva since she was very small. And I've always been amazed by her. And it's inspired me to make sure I teach my kids more and more and push my kids. And that's why I have Morissa here with me today, because I had been telling her about Neva so she would have a chance to actually meet Neva in person. So, hey, Morissa. Say hey.
Hi.
So Morissa is writing her own book, and she has a lemonade stand. She has a YouTube channel, so she's kind of following in your footsteps.
Nice. Marissa, how old are you?
She said, how old are you, Morissa?
I'm 7.5.
Nice.
Now, Neva, I'm thinking you're 12 or 13. How old are you?
I'm 10.
Wow. You know, I thought you would have it. Oh, but that's because you're so mature. You know, I was just looking at a video you had shared, and I'm going to play this for everybody. It was you, and you were talking about Bob Proctor.
Hi, my name is Neva Recla. I'm 7 years old. Today I want to talk to you about Bob Proctor's stick person theory. What is Bob Proctor's stick person theory? Well, this talks about the two minds in the body. So, this is the thinking mind, and this is the believing mind. So, let's say you wanted to be an astronaut. Your thinking mind would have to think that you would wanted to be an astronaut, but then your believing mind would have to believe that you're to be an astronaut.
So, Neva, one of the questions, and Marissa, I'll let you, your first question was, what was your question you have for Neva?
My question was, when you made your first video, have you ever made any mistakes?
All the time. I always show stories about, especially when I speak, messing up and fumbling over my words. I've had clothing malfunctions while speaking. I had one time my microphone fell out of my pants before I got on stage to speak. And I fumbled, but it's all about the learning process in it.
How were you when you started?
I was 2 years old.
So did you ever need help from your parents?
All the time. They were the ones who helped me feel very supported in the process of getting my business started. And they're the ones who kind of brought me into CEO Space where I started business. And so, yes, I've always needed help from them.
Okay.
Well, and I'm gonna add
Marissa's questions.
I'm gonna add to that, Joe, is that Neva's always been quick to ask for assistance, and you know what's beautiful about kids is that they're very malleable, and as long as you remain present with them, they are able to learn anything. I mean, she's 10 and she's editing videos. She's a vital part of our overarching business as well as her own in her own right. But the beautiful thing about teaching a kid to be a young entrepreneur is that if you sit down and take the time to show them how to do it and step up the tasks, there's a lot of things that she's completely 100% self-sufficient on now, because we were there with her in the beginning, and it just encouraging her to do it. She's doing Thoughts for Thursday now on her Instagram channel, and she does that completely on her own without any guidance or assistance from her mom or I.
Wow. Yeah, and I watched those the Clarity Thursdays and the Thoughts for Thursdays. And you and your wife are amazing entrepreneurs. Can you just give a little bit about your background, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. Tony and I are both former counterintelligence agents with the U.S. government. We stepped out of the government space just about a decade ago now, and stepped into the entrepreneurial world. We started our own corporate counterintelligence firm where we do risk mitigation, doing background checks and making sure people are who they say they are and what they say they can do. And then we also run and operate the #1 podcast network for spiritual growth and personal development called the Superpower Up Network, where we've got 12 different podcast shows. Neva, who is a host of one of those shows, has been on the network. She was actually the second show on the network, and that network is now heard in 90 countries around the globe and gets over 1.5 million downloads a month. So it's been quite the journey.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, tell us about some of your businesses that you have and you have now.
Sure. So, I've done probably about 6 businesses over the past 8 years. The first business I did was selling Italian glass bracelets for $10. Then I moved on to doing Jamberry, which is like a sticker for your nails, with my sister. We called them Diva Jams. My name is Danica. My name is Neva. So together is Diva Jams. I did promo videos for people's businesses, which helped. That's kind of why I did Bob Proctor's stick figure theory. Just kind of promoting people, which I love doing. I started my podcast, which I've been doing for 3.5 years now. And I also wrote my book.
Wow. Now, did you write the book yourself, or did you have much help writing the book?
I had assistance. My dad helped me with getting information come through. My mom helped me write it. So it was kind of a team effort. And then I'm also doing a kids club, which is called Superpower Kids Club. And it's for family members of the kids who want to sign them up to teach them about different life skills, planning for success, and how to embrace their superpowers as a family.
Wow. Man, you're doing a lot, and you're doing it so early. I mean, do you have any employees? Or do you pretty much just you, mom, and dad pretty much do everything?
Pretty just much me, mom, and dad.
And so
Well, she's being modest. So we've got a team of people that help us produce the network. And the one thing that she doesn't highlight herself often is that she's also a coach in our training program. We've got a team of six coaches that work with our clients in our training programs, and Neva is brought on quite often to assist clients with a lot of things to bring in a child perspective, whether they be working through a parenting issue with their own kids, or if they're trying to heal, if they're needing to heal some childhood trauma themselves. Neva really excels in that, and so she's also a team member for our coaching programs.
And you know what, Neva, you never seem to be shy. You always seem to be very front and forward. It's not like talking quite to an adult, but it's almost like talking to an adult, because you are so sure of yourself and you have such confidence. How did you build this confidence that you have?
I would say support of people. So as we said earlier, I've been going to CEO Space for 8 years, and that's always been like my supporting mechanism. And people around me, like the sponsors of my book, or the fact that I'm coming on to be interviewed by you, my parents, and all of my family members. So I think just having the support is a great way most of the reason I started getting as much confidence as I do.
So when you first started making money, what's the one thing that you bought for yourself that you really wanted?
Ooh. Oh yeah, just recently I bought a skateboard for myself, and I want to get into skateboarding. So that's something I kind of splurged on. And dark chocolate, that's something else.
So what would you tell parents that are trying to get their kids to start to learn to be entrepreneurs? Any advice you would give them?
Be patient and go into it from a very supportive mechanism, because sometimes I know I do this where if I feel like people are telling me that I have to do this, then I won't always do it. So go at it from, hey, what are your ideas? There's this thing called business, and it's awesome. You can have fun with it, and kind of go at it from the stance of they're included in the conversation instead of it's another thing that they have to do.
Wow. And so what is the biggest mistake you feel like you've made in business so far?
I wouldn't say I've made any mistakes. I have messed up before, for example, speaking on stage and fumbling or whatever. But I think that at the end of the day, it's always been a learning mechanism for me. And that kind of goes back to the confidence is I've messed up so many times, and I can look back and go, okay, but I learned from it. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, we've all messed up. I mean, I think that just happens in business and life. What about your biggest win? What are you most proud of that you've accomplished?
Everything, and probably my book as one of like the biggest things, because it took me about 2 years to write. I started when I was 7 and I finished when I was 9. It came out when I was 10. So I would say that's been my biggest accomplishment recently, because it's always been something I can look back on and go, wow, I did that. And I put effort into it. So I think that's been my biggest accomplishment.
So who do you follow, or who do you look to as a mentor, just besides your parents? Do you watch a particular person online, on YouTube, whoever? Who do you normally follow and look at?
Regarding business?
Yes.
So besides my parents, I would definitely say Bernie and September Dorman. Those are the two main people, because they've been like second parents to me, and they run a business conference, and also everyone who has stepped up to be a leader, but mostly them.
Okay. Yeah, I love those two people too.
Well, and Joe, I just wanted to throw in here is that, you know, like Neva's mentioning here is that the reason why Neva is who she is today is because of the community, because of the resources, because of the support that we received as parents. And, you know, it's not, we haven't been able to do it alone. I mean, it's because of things like CEO Space. It's because of people like yourself who see Neva for who she is, and have supported her and have been there and have created opportunities for her. It truly does take a tribe, and you know, a tribe that comes together that has resources and has mechanisms to support young entrepreneurs is really just that. I mean, we're very blessed to have found the community, yourself included, to you know, get her to where she's at in her own journey today.
You know, when we would see Neva walk around the halls of CEO Space, she was kind of like everybody's kid. And so that's why I love seeing her. You know, I watch her on Instagram, I watch her on YouTube, and I love seeing the amazing things she does because she's like everybody's kid. That was at CEO Space, which CEO Space is a great business community. And I worked there for a while, and I been a member for just almost a decade. And that's where I first saw Neva. And I think, you know, she was, like I said, she was very inspiring to me to teach and help my kids grow as well. And I told my kids about Neva when I first met her. I said, hey, you got to see this amazing young child who is, I don't know how she was then, maybe 5, 4, 6. Now that she says she's 10, I'm confused. But she was very young, and she spoke on stage. She would stand up and speak. She would do something called a snap. And then she did everything in such an amazing way for such a young age. And I was just so impressed. So Neva, tell me about some of your goals for the future. What's next for you?
Ooh, one, thank you for what you just said. And also, I would say, so one of my big goals is to inspire 1 million kids to do business. So that's probably my biggest goal right now for the near future. And also, one of my more, like, I would call it quote unquote selfish goals is my commitment with my parents is that if I make $1 million in my business, I can buy whatever pet I want. So I want a pet pig, and I'm gonna name it Hamlet's Neva Recla. So that's also something. That's one of my goals. And I want to write a kid's book because I got the parents in the book that I just wrote, and I want to do a kid's book about business.
What's the biggest crowd you've ever spoken to?
2,000 people, and it was my first ever keynote at the DECA conference. And one of my great friends, Colby K, was the one who introduced me. No one knew how old I was. I was like 7. Yeah. And no one knew how old I was. Everybody thought I was an adult. And so that was the biggest crowd. So about 2,000 people.
Were you nervous?
Yes, before I got on stage, but I have this weird thing where I'm more comfortable speaking in larger crowds than I am in smaller crowds. So as soon as I stepped on stage, it was like a whole new experience. Yep.
Out of your businesses, which business do you like the best?
Which
one of your businesses do you like the best?
That's a really tough question. Probably my podcast, or doing Kid Clarity, because those both are very social things. So I'd say in between those two, probably my podcast, but I love them all because it was all such a different experience for me.
So do you have fun? I mean, you do a lot of business, or is it business your fun?
Yes,
What do
it
you do
is
for
my
fun?
fun. So a lot of people ask me that. Some people tend to think that I don't get to be a kid because I do business. Business is fun for me. I like the good feeling of editing one of my shows. I edit my dad and I shows for our network. I like doing things like that, but also for fun, I like playing video games, cooking. I've cooked dinners a couple of times at our house. Playing with my dog, swimming, hiking. I like very active things, but very creative things that are kind of like business. So.
Wow. So Justin, this question is for you. What made you go from working for the government to working for yourself as an entrepreneur? What was that transition like?
You know, that was, I think there's a lot of people that can have had similar experiences of being in one construct and breaking out into a new one. You know, Tony and I had pretty much peaked in our careers as far as counterintelligence agents. We'd both been in the field. We had been trainers. We put 4,000 some agents through the schoolhouse. Excuse me, I choked. And when we transitioned, it was all about being of service, and making a better world. And when Neva came along, we said that, you know, we weren't going to do business unless she could be a part of it. And
okay. And how many kids do you guys have? I'm sorry.
I've got two older ones from my first marriage, and then we've got Neva together. But that transition, I tell you what, we went from not knowing anything about business because we worked for the government to, you know, running the business entities that we have now. You know, at one point in time, we were employing 65 some odd people within our organization, and I've learned a lot along the way. And what's been beautiful about it is that all the stuff that I had to unprogram from when I was a kid to what I thought about, you know, having to get a job or needing to get a job or having to go to college, you know, all that personal development stuff, all the stuff that we have to unprogram as we continue to grow. You know, it's been beautiful because we've been able to instill all of that in Neva. And so it's like she's getting the expedited path because she's starting off as an entrepreneur. And, you know, should she choose to go get a job somewhere in the future, she can choose to do that. She may choose to go to college. She knows that she can do whatever she wants. And so for me, that journey, that transition from government to entrepreneur is really been one of being of service to those that we can assist with the skill set that God blessed us with, to making sure that, you know, Neva has, you know, different opportunities than I had growing up, and to do that and show that for her. A lot of people ask me what my why is. You're talking to her right now, and knowing that can have an impact, knowing that, you know, building a better entrepreneur, building a better person, and helping others do the same. You know, if nothing else, if I don't do anything else in this world, I know that the lessons of entrepreneurship, leadership, and being of service has been instilled upon Neva, then I'm complete.
That is just amazing. So Neva, what have you been doing since you've been out of school? I know you've had all this free time. Are you enjoying the free time, and what have you been doing with it?
So I'm homeschooled.
Okay.
So technically I'm still in school. So I'm pretty much my own teacher, which means I kind of get to decide what I learn about with the support of my parents, of course. But I enjoy free time. So I've kind of learned in homeschool that the quicker I work and the more focused I am, the quicker I get to free time, the longer free time I have. So it really just depends on my day, I guess, of when I do get my free time.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely. I want to open up for questions now. If anybody has a question for Neva.
How do you pinpoint your kids' talents if they have so many? How do you decide, okay, we're going to build on this?
That's a good question. I would say you don't really decide for them, if that makes sense. I would say you let them decide of what resources they want to use, because it's also, like I said earlier, it's kind of, I know that when I'm told what to do, or if I'm told kind of how I should do things, most of the time I'm not really interested in doing it. So I'd say kind of let them decide. And kids will speak if you ask us questions. And like I said earlier, all it takes is a little bit of that connection and that having fun. So yeah, kind of my advice.
So to answer that from the parents' perspective is, one, we had to, when you're a parent, you see your kids' potential, right? You see them at what is possible, and when they are good at so many different things, we just hope that they attach to one and they take off and they run with it. And like any entrepreneur, there's phases of the learning period. And for instance, Neva started off selling glass bracelets. Somebody gifted her those, and when she learned that she could make money selling them, it became something easy. But then she realized that she didn't have a source for glass bracelets, and she wasn't really interested in making glass bracelets. And then along came Neva Jams and the next thing. And so there's part of it is the journey of it, and knowing that you might start them off on the path because like, hey, I want to do XYZ, right? And maybe it's maybe it is just something that is short-lived. That's okay. Even if they don't make a ton of money at doing it, the lessons they learn from just doing it are more important, more valuable than whatever kind of money they might be able to make from it. And then from that, you're just able to build on it and you go to the next thing. And what's beautiful about being an entrepreneur, and what's beautiful about being a child, is that it's a great opportunity. As adults, we've got all these stories of, I've got to make money. I have to make money, right? I have to pay the bills. Well, the kids, being a kid, it becomes play. And then in play, they learn to make money because now they're having fun, and having fun, they're making money. It just feeds on itself, and it just builds and it just grows. So follow the path and come up with ideas, have conversations with your children as to, if they could do anything in the world, what would it be, right? And for us, it always comes down to some sort of level of service to those that can benefit from what's being offered. But I think it'll vary from kid to kid, and it's okay to know that what they're doing right now may be different than what they're doing 3 weeks from now, may be different than what they're doing 3 years from now, and just to go through it and just allow them to play in that and find that space for themselves.
Very well said. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Too, when kids grow up in a certain environment, they see certain things. It's not always what you tell them to do, or you try to teach them. Sometimes it's what you expose them to. And a lot of times you don't know that they're absorbing things when you're not even paying attention. And I know that later on, my kids went on to be in business and be self-sufficient. And all that had to do with me putting them in the environment of business, taking them to places like CL Space. And they also had Uncle Bernie. And they call him Uncle Bernie, and they talk to him often. And he's been able to give them lots of nuggets and lots of wisdom. So Jennifer asked a question. She said, my question is, once you zero in on what your kids' talents are, how do you plug that talent into legit business? For example, one of her daughters loves working with dogs and training them. How could she make an income doing that? For Neva or Justin, whichever one you guys want to answer that.
That's a really great question. And I think I'll use your daughter as an example, is I know right now people can't really go into human contact, but maybe in the future it can turn into, maybe she does like a dog grooming, or if she likes training dogs, she puts practice in. For example, if you have a dog, or she can watch videos online, which we're very fortunate to have is how to train dogs. And then she can start training others on how to do that. And I would say also, you bringing it back to the income, is starting small, because like, kind of, let's say she starts training dogs and she'll say, I'll treat your puppy how to sit and how to be potty trained. It could be like $5 a session, and starting small and seeing if she even likes it, because again, it's a lot of work to put effort into a business, and after you get into it, you have to commit to it. And so just kind of testing it out and seeing how it works, coming up with a couple of different guidelines, and then seeing if your kid likes it and seeing if people like it, and that can easily sprout into an awesome business.
I agree with you 100%. One of the things I would recommend in a situation like that too, Jennifer, is doing recording with your phone, your daughter training the dog, teaching the dog how to sit, how to shake, the different things, and then possibly putting that course on something like Udemy. UDEMY is free. They do all the marketing and advertising for you, and then they give you a percentage. You guys share a percentage of the money that comes in from people taking the actual course. So it may be 10 steps for training your dog, and you give 10 different things, or teach 10 different ways of training your dog to do something. It's Udemy, UDEMY. And so it's free to upload it, and then she may charge $20, $30. And it may be called something as easy as how kids can train their dogs. And so that would give her a great start in a source of income. But I mean, definitely I would have her continue to improve on it, continue to learn, and help her grow, and maybe get her some classes to help her get better at it.
Absolutely. And to add to that, things like dog sitting, dog walking,
Yes.
be thinking like that. And, there's the saying in the old school way of business, it's always be closing. That to us never felt good. And we flipped it around for all of our business entities, and it's always be offering. And so if you know you're good at something, if your child knows they're good at something, always be offering. And there's the beautiful thing about that is that you can empower your children to know that they can charge money for what they do, or they can give of their heart and their time willingly. So, maybe there's a neighbor that needs their dog watched, know that, you can your child can set a set rate for, $5 a day for dog sitting, and go over. But maybe they understand that the neighbor's having some tough times, but they can they'll watch the dog. Your child can agree to watch the dog in exchange for a testimony, right? Of the services and so forth. And so there's always ways to build upon it. And from the financial pieces, I know we always have dreams of, my daughter's gonna make $5,000 an hour type of thing. That start small piece is huge, because they need to get that cellular confidence of being able to earn money on their own from doing the things that they love.
And I would actually add to what my dad said, that you're unmuted, is setting goals. And I think that's something else that's really important, is especially for kids. I know that before, I would happily, like, if I had $50 in my bank account, I'd happily go spend it right there, just because it's there. And I think that's something that's really important to teach kids, is about setting goals for yourself and realizing that sometimes you need to set money aside. And it's a great way to start. Just what is your skill set? And that can turn into something amazing and huge. And so I think it's all about mindset and skill set.
So Neva, you really don't need allowance at all, do you?
Nope, I don't have an allowance.
So you pretty much just, what you make is what you spend.
Yep. And in our house, we kind of talk about, I can't go and get paid for going to get the mail, because that's something that contributes to our entire family. For example, let's say I ordered something online. If I'm like, hey, will you pay me for this? I'm pretty much just saying, hey, will you pay me for getting something that I want? And so we kind of talk about doing chores, and helping out around the house isn't necessarily a paying position. And so I get to make my own money from my business. If I want to make more money, go and come up with a new business, or go and sell a book. So kind of our way of doing it.
Wow. Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to be doing things differently with their kids after seeing this particular video. So, Neva, do you have anything that they can buy from you, or any way they can patronize you, or tell us about any services or anything you have to offer?
Yes. So like I mentioned earlier, parents or guardians, if you want your kids to learn more about more tips for success, you can go to superpowerkidsclub.com, and it will give you a bunch of different resources for learning about success and also learning about superpowers and learning how to embrace your superpowers as a family. And you can also go buy my book, check out a podcast, get a reading from me. I'm all over the place.
Wow. Justin, what about yourself? I know you guys have an amazing company too. You want to tell them just a little bit about that and how they can get in contact with if they need your type of services?
Absolutely. For those of you who might be feeling a little bit of overwhelm from what raising a young entrepreneur looks like, we do offer support for that. We have a training program. If you go to superpowerexperts.com/programs, you'll see there's a readiness assessment on there. You can take that. That'll point you in the right direction and get you an opportunity to get scheduled for a free consult with Tony and I. So that there's one. Two, if you're in business and you're moving forward, if you're wanting to help mitigate your risk, we do offer background checks and so forth, and you can find all that information at clearbusinessdirectory.com. Again, that's clearbusinessdirectory.com. But really, for this stuff, the training, the superpowerexperts.com/programs is really our focus on helping families, helping individuals become the best versions of themselves so they can pass it on to their children as well.
Wow, that's awesome. So, Neva, if you could leave them with one thing that they should go out and do differently this week or do better this week, is there one thing one piece of advice you would give everybody?
That's a really tough question and a good question. I would say for parents, learn to be patient and maybe focus on talking to your kids about business and talking to them about the different possibilities. And just for everybody else who's listening, I would say just learn to find your skill sets and see how you can be of a service to the world, because I think especially right now we all need that community and we all need that support in our lives. So I would say find a way you can be of service, even if it's not in person, and go out and discover your superpowers and find how you can help change the world in just by doing something that's just a tiny bit of service.
Neva, you have been awesome. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Like I said, I love watching you. I've been watching you since you've been very young. It's been about 7-8 years. And I love to see you grow, and I love to see the things that you're doing on a constant basis, and they're very inspiring to adults and kids. So I want to thank you. I want to thank your dad. I want to thank your mom for allowing you to be on, and appreciate you guys for coming on tonight. And we hope you guys have an amazing week. You guys see the website at superpowerkids.com. Justin's email is justin@superpowerexperts.com. If you want to contact them and see what else they have available, take advantage of some of the things. And I thank everybody for coming on tonight. And I will edit this and put it up on YouTube shortly.
Joe, I have one question.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if Morissa would want to come on my show to talk about it being an aspiring kid entrepreneur.
Yes. She said, would you like to come on the show to talk about being an inspiring kid entrepreneur?
Sure.
Awesome. I will make sure I send you all the information so you can come on.
Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you guys, and everybody have a great week. And if you need me, feel free to email me or reach out to me through text.
If I jump, my boy gonna jump with me. That's right. Yeah. And if I shoot, my boy gonna shoot with me. Pew, pew, pew. And if I die, my boy gonna... Where'd you go?